Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Aditi and today I'm here as an Altenew educator participating in the Marker Magic video hop. As usual, there are prizes to win, so hop along, subscribe to every designer's channel and do leave a comment to enter the giveaway. In my video today, I'm using the Magnificent Magnolias Craft Your Life kit, and what I have already done is die cut all the flower layers and set them aside. I'm going to follow the layering guide at the back of the packaging to lay out the pieces in the order that they need to go when assembling. This just makes it very easy as I then can quickly pick the pieces and put the entire flower together. I'm using the Mediterranean Terrace Garden set as well as another set, but here are the colors, the markers that I'm using. So two yellows and the darkest purple. And I'm using the Mystic Garden set for the oranges as well as the greens. Now to begin with, I am going to start with the lightest marker color. I generally color the other way around, starting with the darkest, but for this technique today, I'm laying out color with the lightest marker progressing to the darkest. So starting with the lightest orange, all I'm doing is adding flicks from the center of the petal outwards, stopping almost at that mid region of the petal and adding a few flicks from the tip of the petal inwards. I do that to all the petals. So I first work with the lightest marker color and add these flicks to the four petals that you see laid on my sticky mat. Now it's just a gliding movement. I'm barely touching the brush tip to the paper and nicely swiftly just pulling away to add those flicks. So there is not too much pressure that I'm applying, and this is something very gentle that I'm doing using the brush tip of the marker. I often use this technique because this is something that just comes very easily to me, and I enjoy the look, I enjoy the texture that this brings. Now moving ahead to the next orange marker, I am going to repeat the same process. Starting from the center, at a few places I'm going to leave the previous color, at a few places I am overlapping it and extending the streaks more towards the middle region so as to cover more area of the petals. Now it is very important to leave some portions white because that adds natural highlights to the petal without us doing too much work. So for such a technique, I often practice that and get good results. So just going along with this next orange marker, I am going to complete adding the flicks on all the petals. And once that's done, instead of moving ahead to the next orange, the third darkest that I've chosen, I am going to bring in the purple for a little contrast. So the idea here is that I'm trying to create two-toned petals, and you can see I'm just laying the purple a little bit, not too much, again in the same way that I've been laying the orange markers from the center outwards, adding a few streaks and flicks, and from the tip inwards. So there is orange that is seen as the undertone, yet there is this purple that brings in the vibrance, the contrast that I need for the petals. So nothing is going to overpower, and the white space that I've left just neutralizes everything, creating that sense of balance. So quickly repeating this process on the remaining petals, I am going to lay out the purple on the petals. Now in the comments, do share how you like to use your alcohol markers. Do you use this flicking streak method or do you like to use the more blended method? And which is your favorite Altenew artist marker set? I'd love to know. Now moving ahead, I'm bringing in the darkest orange and just adding a few streaks right over, so that way I'm blending the purple into that base orange that I had laid out, creating a nice vibrant looking petal. So I think these colors really go well together, and the white, like I was saying, leaving the white just brings the natural highlights and neutralizes and balances out everything. So the blend of these two, I am really loving it, and I hope that you are liking this idea and would give this a try. If you definitely give this a try, do share your makes in the Altenew fan group and tag me at Aditi Mahajan. If you are creating and sharing on Instagram, then tag me at adi.mahajan because I love to see what you all create inspired from my creations. Now for the flower center, I am bringing in the lighter yellow for the two base layers. I add a little darker yellow to the other piece that's going to go on the top, and to that middle piece right there, I'm going to bring in the green, like I said, from this set because I think it just goes very well, that shade of green. It's a warmer green and it goes very well with the warmer tones that I have here on the petals. So nicely just applying the markers there, I am going to quickly finish coloring that. And now it is all about putting the flower together. We have the fabulous keyhole system and Altenew's the glue, which makes this task very easy. So I'm going to apply a little glue just around the keyhole and bring the second petal and lay it right on top, connecting the two keyholes and pressing there in the center. I then move ahead and repeat the same process to the next two petals, and I am then just completing that bloom. So here in this video, I'm showing you how I've colored just one single bloom and put this together. But off camera, I have colored all the flowers from this set in the same way and assembled them so that I can use them on my card today. The process remains same, and I didn't want to make this video too big and draggy. So for that reason, I have just shown you my technique on one bloom. So putting the center pieces together, I am going to add the layers and just using my glue, I am going to complete assembling this particular magnolia. Now, some of these come with, you see those tiny pieces on the side, which act as folds for the petals. I usually like to refer to the layering guide just to see where which piece goes in and glue that on the petals. I think it adds such a nice natural look, creating that perfect fold for the petal. So just doing that and adding a little glue. I love the glue because it has this fine precision tip which does not clog, and that's such a blessing. And it is clear drying, so I don't have to worry too much. I am then going to place that tiny piece right there which creates that beautiful fold for this flower, and then this particular magnolia is complete. So that's just a look at this flower colored in and complete. Now with that done, let's work on the base of the card. So I'm using the coordinated stamp set and a branch, and I have placed it on my stamp wheel 2.0. The card base is 5.7 inches and I'm using Misty More ink, which just matches the green that I have here in the markers to stamp this branch. Now I'm using the green ink to stamp this branch simply because I want that lighter green there, and I am going to color it in with the marker, so it's going to give me a no line colored look. So stamping the branch, I have that set. Now I'm just moving my panel to the center of the stamp wheel and dry fitting the flowers, just checking where I like the flowers to go. So once I have the placement in place, I am then going to pick sentiments from the same stamp set. So one big major sentiment and one sub sentiment, and stamp that on the card itself using obsidian ink. That way my flowers are going to be the highlight of this card. I am not adding die cut sentiment to this, just keeping the background one layer and making sure that the flowers take the limelight. Now to color in the branches, I'm using the greens like I mentioned from the Mystic Garden set. And again, I'm repeating the same steps that I used for the flower cluster. I am going in with the lightest marker and just tracing along, getting an idea of where the branch goes in, adding details with the lightest color. And I will then just progress, adding more color, moving to the second marker, the third marker, adding rough details, vague details here and there, more in a doodle style, creating this organic, natural looking branch. So then that makes it a no line look without the stamp being too evident. And that's the trick. If you want a no line look, I would say stamp with a lighter ink color and then go in with your markers to add details. I'm simply tracing it along, adding some details here and there, adding the darker color at a few places, leaving the lighter color as highlights. And I repeat the same process for the leaves, where I begin with the lightest color, add flicks on the area, both from the bottom of the leaf outwards and tip of the leaf inwards. And with the light green, I lay that out, and then I can go in with the next colors to add more shading, more details, just highlight a few veins and the tips and the base of the leaves to create that natural looking curve. So this is a technique that I really enjoy sometimes, where it's not that I'm too precise with my coloring, but I'm still using the different markers and adding the shading. And that's why I love Altenew markers, because they come as a set from the lightest to the darkest color, making it very easy for us to create this gradient look, adding the shading, the depth, and the highlights without too much thinking. Now, once all of that is set, time for assembling. So I'm using the 1/8 inch instant dimension foam tape. I have added that behind all the flowers because I really want the flowers to pop off my base. And I am adding white acrylic ink splatters on the flowers and black splatters just along outside to kind of accentuate with the black sentiment that I have going. Now, I thought I was done here, but later, once this was dry, I realized I needed a little pop. So I used Misty More and my small blending tool and just added ink blended details all around the card, framing it. And I've used the champagne sequence to add a little bling. With that, this card is complete, and here is a closer look. I really hope that this tutorial has inspired you to play with the artist markers. And like I said, hop along with us for more inspiration. Like, share, and subscribe, and enter the fabulous giveaway. Until the next time, take care and bye bye.